you said is there one moment? I don't know if there's one moment, but I do think that it's my desire to feel like I'm of service. I always find the most satisfaction and the most fulfillment when I know that I've been able to help someone in some way, even if it's like really small. So like coming to the Dairy Queen, giving somebody their two bumps with a swirl on the top of it in the most perfect way possible. Like I live for that shit. Or being able to adequately direct someone to the correct design of pants. I don't fucking know. Like I just love to help people. And I think that my whole life leading up to this moment has been like just small acts of service over and over and over, and finding those ways to satisfy that urge to be of service. Man, I never thought about this before.
I know what. So you're making me now like dig deeper into this, which I wasn't really gonna like go much deeper than this, but like with you saying that about like those little bits of service, what was the first time that you volunteered for Hope for the Day on Warped Tour? Like, is that a pretty standout moment for you? Like, I imagine you like offering yourself to that many people day after day after day, in that kind of like heavy of like an emotional sphere. That had to have been something brand new, but like super like no, like super refreshing, absolutely knowing that you did a lot of good like every day.
Yeah. So I think it was 2014 or 2015. I forget the exact year. So the first time I volunteered on Warped Tour, I was going out for like 2 weeks, I think. So, and I can't remember what city I jumped on in, whether it was Pittsburgh, whether it was Chicago, but I know that I showed up with a suitcase, and I knew that I wouldn't be leaving in my car that day. I'd be getting on a bus and just like going across the country for a couple of weeks. So I would use my vacation for my retail job to go and do like 2 weeks every summer on Warped. And that first year I was out there, I remember we were traveling with the band Vanna. So I forget where I got picked up. I can't remember, but we were traveling with Vanna. It was myself and Johnny, and then Kiki, who was working for Hope for the Day. So I met up with them, and the first year it was like pretty quiet in the tent because not a lot of people knew who we were. So we were really like engaging others to be like, hey, come over here. Like, let me talk to you about this, like going out and grabbing people. And we had this wall that you could write, I think it was like what gives you hope on this big banner background wall, and just like talking to people in that way. So that first year was about like getting my feet wet and also learning about doing the Warped Tour, which is like so hard. It's such a hard tour. Like the conditions are rough.
And they make it that way on purpose. Thanks,
Which
little local bands.
But it like, you know, you're in one place one day and then you're another place another day. And sometimes those first couple years, the drives were long. So the drives were like over miles almost every single night. And we were out. So we were always like one of the first people to set up. So we were on the grounds at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 to 9 o'clock. And then we weren't breaking down until like about 8 p.m.-ish. You'd break down, take a shower, eat a couple hot dogs, and then go to bed. But knowing that we had the ability, though, during the day, those hot days, to connect with people and let people know, hey, it's okay not to be okay. Like, let's talk about this. Let's sit down. I forged some relationships with some of the people that I met on this first couple of years of Warped Tour, where I just like made these connections with people, and I stayed in touch with them for like years and years and years. And one of them, at the time, they were brought to us and they were having thoughts of suicide. They had like, they're having a real rough time that day. And then fast forward like 5 years, I attended this person's high school graduation party. And they, at the time that I met them, they had openly said, like, I don't want to live anymore. Like, yeah, they might be watching this. So I'm just really fucking proud of them. And I am so grateful that they allowed me to be like a creepy, weird old lady and say, like, hey, I want you to send me your poems, like, tell me more about your music. And I like continue to engage that person through email. And they lived in like the greater Chicagoland area. They lived like an hour and a half away. So I would drive out to where they lived, and we would go and volunteer at a dog shelter. Like, we'd go to lunch together and just talk. So there are things like that occurred. And there are people that I still continue to text with and stay in contact with, who like outwardly told me, like, I don't want to live anymore. And they are still living, and they are thriving adults. And that's not to say that I'm responsible for that, but I can just say that I'm grateful that I've been able to see those individuals at like the lowest point in their life at that point, and be able to see them like grow and come out of that. And that they were willing to be that open and vulnerable with me is just like really fucking cool. Like, that's huge. That's a lot of satisfaction. That's where you get those dividends. You know, my dividends don't come in dollars and cents because I work for a nonprofit, but they come and just like, I don't know, man, being able to see people fucking grow up and live good lives.